As I mentioned in the first part of this video series, people frequently ask me my opinion on which Respect 10 or Commander unique items, whatever you want to call it, which ones are worth investing in. And that's a very important question because you cannot get the items that you invest in the unique equipment. You can't get it back. You can't break it down and get worn out versions. And they cost gold items to strengthen, so they can be a very expensive proposition. So if you want to know my opinion on good side tier 2 commanders, which Respect items are worthwhile, stay tuned. I do want to mention that this video is sponsored by Codashop, and I'll be doing another season pass giveaway to 4 lucky winners along with this video. Check the video description for details on how to win one. Allow me to introduce you to Codashop, a platform that will allow you to top up your accounts in most or all of your favorite games. Codashop partners directly with some of the largest publishers in the business to allow for a quick, safe, and seamless purchase experience when buying in-game items or currencies. Codashop's partnerships allow them to immediately send your purchases to your account, just like if you're using the Google or Apple stores. They even support sending gifts directly to your friends. Using Codashop is quick and easy. First, go to Codashop.com or use my affiliate link in the description of this video. Next, select the game that you wish to make a purchase for. Fill out the required account information, select your top-up, choose your payment method, and enter an email address where you'd like to receive a receipt. And you're done! Topping up your accounts has never been easier, and thank you to Codashop for sponsoring this video. Welcome back, everyone. Let's start things off strong with talking about the absolute best Respect 10 item in the game. That is none other than my boy Denethor II with the Goblet of the First Steward. And actually, that was just a really bad joke, so hopefully some people found it funny. We'll actually talk about Theoden. I think I would get trolled endlessly in the comment section if I didn't bring Theoden up, just because he is an extremely popular commander. He's probably the most popular tier 2 commander in the game. I think that's probably a fair thing to say. He has Herugrim. It gives Might Speed, Army HP to mounted units. This would be a lot better if this was Army Attack for mounted units, because in my opinion, Attack is a significantly stronger stat than Army HP. I mean, having your Cav be a bit more tanky isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's not like having +6 more attack on top of his Respect 5 title, which is going to add 15 attack. It's not like having +6 more attack is going to have some sort of diminishing returns. That's still going to scale with the Rohirrim title. Maybe it would just be too overpowered on top of his Respect 5 title. I don't know. The other kind of unfortunate thing is that Lord of the Mark applies mostly to Cavaliers and Marshals, as you're not really going to be running Outriders for very long, especially not when you have things like Cataphracts, Pre-Riders, Ram Riders, potentially Swan Knights. You're going to have much better Cav options than Outriders. So if you are Rohan and you can get the reduction hitting your Cavaliers and your Marshals, then you are going to get a decent bit more value out of the Lord of the Mark trait. But overall, I think you're just going to get plenty of mileage out of something like a Reach of the Rittermark, or even just a melee Might Cutlass, that it's not necessarily worth going for Herugrim. Now, if you just don't plan on investing in another tier 2 commander, I don't think this is a terrible item. It just isn't like game changing, and that's the kind of thing that I want from these unique items. Somebody's unique item that is game changing, however, is Eomer. This item is fantastic. In my opinion, it's a contender for the best Respect 10 item in the game. It's certainly like top 5. So Guthwine, or however you pronounce this, it also has Might Speed, but this time, unlike Theoden, we have Army Attack for our mounted units, and Like the Wind is fantastic. So it says Eomer and his army gain the following effects in sequence, and this one's a bit tricky too, kind of like Haldir's. Increases Eomer's next damage dealt by 10% when your speed reaches 200. This is another case of NetEase wording their tooltips poorly. This, and the first time I read it, I thought this. Probably other people have thought this. Don't feel bad if you thought this. I thought this was just a one-time 10% damage dealt increase, which is like kind of okay, whatever. It goes up to 60%, by the way, if you fully refine this. However, the way this actually works, every single round, this thing procs. So every single round, at the beginning of the round, whenever Theomer's about to go, it says, Aomer gets plus X% damage from, like, the wind. So if you have this bad boy fully refined, you are getting, in a 10-round combat, you're getting 10 instances of a plus 60% damage increase. Now, I think you guys can do the math on that and see why that is truly phenomenal. And allied mounted units, which obviously you're only ever running mounted units on this guy, they get to prioritize the enemy ranged units when speed reaches 350. That's a relatively easy benchmark for him to hit, as I believe he is the fastest commander in the game, if I'm not mistaken, unless some new guy has come out that's faster than him. He's definitely the fastest of the original OG commanders. So this is really awesome against good factions, as we were talking about how there are so many powerful commanders that like to run ranged units. I mentioned that in the first video in the series when I was talking about Eowyn's Respect 10 item, it being strong against commanders like Gil-galad, potentially Gandalf the Grey. If he's running double ranged unit, Haldir, Faramir, plenty of good side commanders that like running ranged units. Being able to focus them down is highly effective because they tend to be glass cannon units, with the exception of Arnor's tier 4 unit. They are very high damage output, but they can't tank damage, so being able to focus them down is a really nice effect to have. And like I'm saying with these items, I like to see something game changing. It is an effect that you cannot get, at least right now, anywhere else in the game. So we'll move on to talk about the other contender for one of the best Respect 10 items in the game. That is Gimli with Balin's Axe. This has an absolutely disgusting amount of might and still manages to throw in one army attack for dwarves, which doesn't really matter because you're just going to be running Guardians really on this guy. However, Durin's Focus is exceptionally powerful. He gets 2 separate instances of damage boost. This is 2%, goes 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So this will actually go up to 2 instances of plus 12% damage. This item alone, on top of the disgusting amount of might that it has, is going to give him plus 24% damage dealt. That is even better than the Warrior title. And importantly, when Gimli's focus hits 100, he gains Pursuit. And this one is worded correctly. It just says gains Pursuit. This means this bad boy 100% of the time, all the time, has Pursuit, and that is absolutely crucial for being able to completely crush commanders like Gil-galad, potentially Undying, Gandalf the Grey. There's a lot, Grima even. There's quite a number of evasion-based commanders running around right now in the current metagame, which makes this the absolute perfect item for countering commanders that are running rampant in the current metagame. And even if those commanders fall off in popularity, this is still a super solid item. It doesn't just crutch on the fact that Gimli gets to have Pursuit. It has an exceptional amount of might. It's 1 point of base might higher than Axe of Khazad-dûm even, and it has a 24% across the board damage increase, which in my opinion is quite considerably better than a damage proc on a weapon. So once again, we have Gimli with a unique item that can completely change the game for him. I want to give a quick special shout out to one of my favorite commanders, Aragorn II. His Respect item is not what I would consider to be one of the best Respect items. However, it does unlock a somewhat unique potential, and that's that the allied men unit with the highest defense is going to absorb normal attacks directed at elves. Having this unique item lets you run things like Cataphract / Guard of the Tower, and then throw in some Sentinels or some Keepers, and those high damage glass cannon Sentinels and Keepers will gain the benefit of the Cataphracts or Guards, Cataphracts being extremely tanky. Those units get to protect them. So it does unlock a little bit of a way for Aragorn to mix up his troop composition and let his troops deal some damage in addition to him dealing damage. And a final shout out to Falcon with the Hardy Buckler. This thing has a whole bunch of text. I'm just going to sum it up real quick for you guys. This ends up giving Dwarven units, and you're only ever going to run Dwarven units on this guy. It gives them a bunch of HP, a bunch of defense, and then it gives your melee units a sizable damage received boost, and it gives your ranged units a sizable damage boost. This pairs extremely well with things like Firing Formation, which does the exact same thing, you just get more of the good stuff, and Arid Luin Expedition, which is yet another damage mitigation skill, and Thrain's Guards, which mitigates the first 6 instances of damage, and then gives your Dwarven units a damage buff. So as you can see, this guy's skill tree is set up perfectly to take advantage of this respect item, where he just has a whole bunch of effects that you can stack on top of each other that either mitigate damage or increase damage or both. So I think it just synergizes extremely well with him, and I think he is a underrated commander currently, probably because he is still such a new commander. I have seen some people using him to pretty good success, but not a whole lot. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it and learned something useful. I'll catch you in the next one. Phoenix, over and out.